Well, just want to welcome everybody. Welcome to St. Peter Mancroft, and we're continuing on with our Lent discipleship group. There's less of us today, but then a lot of St. Stephen's folk are away in Israel or ill. We've had a lot of the lurgy, but it's good to see you all, and I hope you're all enjoying the course. It's certainly, I was just saying, it's thought-provoking and quite challenging, but I think that's good because, we get stuck in our little ways, and it's good to think outside the box sometimes. So welcome anyway. So welcome to the fourth of 5 sessions of this course, in which we continue our exploration of Christian discipleship. This course is offered as part of the Heart Edge Network, which was started at the Church of St. Martin in the Fields in London and draws upon a book written by its vicar, Sam Wells. The book is called Improvisation. And as we discovered in the first 3 sessions, Sam asks us to imagine a worldview in which God and the life of creation are like a 5-act play, shaped by God's abundant gifts, and within which we improvise our own parts, using techniques such as blocking and accepting. As we do so, we join in the great story of God and creation, but we also discover more about the actual nature of God too, in particular through what Sam calls over-accepting. As he writes, "Earlier I argued that if the church had improvised faithfully, it would aim to accept all offers. But clearly not all offers are good. Indeed, some are evil. So accepting all offers seems a dubious tactic. The question is, how does one maintain one's integrity without blocking? As I've already suggested, blocking is subtly aggressive and undermines the space of the other. It may also depend on a level of force that may not be available or desirable. But accepting indiscriminately seems naive, to say the least. I want to suggest a third tactic. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, my name's Dave. I'm an LLM based at St. Stephen's. Sorry, I forgot to say that. To illustrate this, consider a simple but immensely significant game called presents. It is played in pairs. Person A thinks of a present to give to person B, and then mimes giving it to them. B has to guess what it is and use it accordingly. The players then swap roles, and B passes a mimed present to person A, and so on. The trouble with this game is, of course, that it can be difficult to identify what the gift is. The players can get frustrated with each other as each mimes more and more outlandish gifts, leaving the other one more and more bewildered. Each actor seems in competition and feels it. How can this change? The secret to making the game a success is to concentrate on cooperation rather than competition. The key is not to think of interesting things to give, but to concentrate on making the thing one is given as interesting as possible. If A simply holds out 2 hands as preferring something in a box, B may be delighted to receive an array of possible gifts. Everything you are given delights you. You maybe wind it up and let it walk on the floor. Or you set it on your arm and let it fly off after a small bird. Or maybe you put it on and turn into a gorilla. If the game is played this way, the stifling sense of competition disappears and great joy and energy are released. The change to the game may be simple, but the change in thinking is enormous. All offers are now potential gifts. When the burden of the game lies with the giver requires the kind of imagination that determines the future. Great frustration arises if the gift is misinterpreted. Do you remember on Christmas Day you're opening inappropriate gifts and you think, oh, okay, really? and you don't quite know what to do with it. When, by contrast, the emphasis lies with the receiver, the imagination cooperates, adapts, and develops. I want to suggest now that the gift game pictures, let's rephrase that. I want to suggest now what the gift game pictures is a revolution in thinking about Christian ethics. This is invariably perceived as a matter of choosing when to say yes and when to say no. But the presence game shows that there is more to it than that. In fact, person B has 3 options. When offered a present by person A, B can say, no, I'm not going to receive that gift. This is a straightforward block. Saying no appears in the short term to maintain one's own security. Throughout Christian history, there have always been groups that say no to some or all gifts that come their way from a wider society. But most churches have recognised that one cannot say no to one's culture wholesale. To do so is to deny the goodness of God's creation and to declare war on society. So what else could B do? B could say, what is this gift? What is it for? What am I supposed to do with it? This is the way the game is usually played. It is also the way the game is usually played out in Christian ethics. B accepts the gift, but does not know what the gift is. The dilemma of B as to the nature of the gift corresponds to the moment of decision that is the focus of quandary ethics. For just as a present is given by A in the game, so are circumstances given at moments of decision, and the decision maker must adjudicate between them. And just as the game is frustrating when played this way, so is decision making, and ethics that concentrate on decisions is often immensely trying, because the assumption is often that there is a right thing to do in each circumstance. There is a third option. Person B can say, how do I want to receive this gift? This is the transition that I've described earlier in the way of the gift game. It is not a question of what the gift is supposed to be. It is the question of what the gift can be. One does not say, what is this gift for? Or even less, is this a good gift? One says, how can this gift be understood or used in a faithful way? What does the way we accept this gift say about the kind of people we are and want to be? What can or has this gift become in the kingdom of God? The ethical issues are less about the gift itself than about where it is perceived to fit in the story of the way God deals with his people and how that fitting in takes place. This is called over-accepting. Over-accepting is accepting in the light of a larger story. The fear about accepting is that one will be determined by the gift and thus lose one's integrity and identity. The fear about blocking is that one will seal oneself off from the world and to lose one's relevance and humanity. Over-accepting is an active way of receiving that which enables one to retain both identity and relevance. It is a way of accepting without losing the initiative. Many of the offers the church in general, or Christians in particular, receive are challenging, threatening, and urgent. The sectarian pacifist response is to block, while the responsible realist approach is to accept without reservation. The search for a third way leads us to over-accepting, in which Christians use their imagination to see how the gifts of creation and culture fit into the story of the way God deals with the world. As Sam Wells goes in to suggest, over-accepting on the part of Christians honours the fact that we are in the fourth act of a 5-act play, which sets the overarching framework. Over-accepting imitates the manner of God's reign by looking ahead to Act 5 and looking back at Acts 1, 2 and 3. The whole sweep of the scriptural narrative is a long story of over-accepting, in which the people of God imitate God's own character by over-accepting the gifts of creation and culture. Over-accepting tells us about the nature of God and gives us the key to faithful Christian discipleship. So we're going to move down into the discussion room. We've got the course book, which has got questions, and we've got a coffee or tea available, and I think this should be quite an interesting discussion for us all. Thank you.